On a cool summer day at school, things kicked off behind the gym, the legendary confession zone. A boy, cheeks blazing red like a tomato on a deadline, shyly handed a girl a love letter and confessed his feelings. But reality came in like a slap. The girl started with the deadliest combo of all. "I'm sorry. Yup." Friend zone was loading. Bro's heart was already in the ICU, and she just unplugged the machine mid-sentence. But before she could land the fatal "let's just be friends," bam! An arrow literally shot through her head. Cupid said fuck subtlety. "We using long-range artillery now." The girl just stood there, twitching, still trying to say a friend, when suddenly she flipped like a light switch, hugging the boy, all lovey-dovey, saying they should totally date. As they walked away all starry-eyed and in love, someone watched from the rooftop. A tall, busty figure, holding a bow, smiling with satisfaction. You already know she's got the kind of plot that makes animators quit mid-project. She muttered to herself, "That's this month's quota done." Girls playing Cupid with body count. Earlier that day, one of her shots went wide, and by wide I mean missed the confession and hit the side character wide. Down on the ground, a boy with a scar on his eyebrow, "No, Hermia named you," was screaming in frustration. He had just lost again. A familiar voice called out. It was Yako, his smug rival, telling him that since he lost again, he owes her bread. Not just any bread, the expensive kind. The Echo, the archery goddess up top, commented dryly that all she has to do is beat you daily, and she gets free food every time. She's not even flirting, she's just farming this poor dude for calories. Expressionless, she said it was the most efficient way to eat. Bro, she's got a meal plan based on bullying. Frustrated, you snap that she always picks the biggest, most expensive bread and that it's gonna make her fat. My guy, you say that, but we all see where the fate is going, and we ain't complaining. Yako walked up close, locked eyes with him like she was ready to step into a boxing ring. He stared right back, alpha versus alpha. Then, like the final insult, she turned away and called him a shorty. Fro's ego took a critical hit. He screamed at her back that he'll never forgive her, and she can't escape justice. At the height of his rage, another voice called out. It was the archery sensei, casually asking if he lost again. This sensei knows damn well the answer but still twisting the knife. While handing him a carton of milk, you muttered, asking why Yako's so good anyway. Sensei hit him with the lore drop. She's my daughter. But then the sensei got serious. He asked the real question. Said, well, why do you want to beat her so badly? You didn't hold back. It's obvious. I just can't stand her. He ranted about her smug face, how she looks down on him, acts like he's not even her equal, and how he hates the fact that he can't catch up to her. But despite the anger, the fire in his eyes was real. He promised he'll beat her one day. Sensei smiled at the answer, but then you twisted it up, saying he wants to see her beautiful face twist in despair after losing to him. Even Sensei had to say, oh damn, you're getting kinda twisted. Back in the classroom, it was filled with couples being all lovey-dovey. Oh, fuck my life. It was almost unnatural how many couples there were, like the air was thick with second-hand affection. As Yu angrily scribbled in his notebook, his friend leaned over and asked what he was staring at. Yu muttered about the number of couples and asked if it didn't seem weird to him. But his friend just chuckled and told him not to be jealous, because that's a pretty pathetic trait. Yu instantly denied being jealous, so his friend grinned and said, then go confess to your senpai. That caused Yu to pause, his brain buffering for a moment. He clarified that Yako was just a childhood friend. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, too. But then Yu started to say more, trailing off mid-sentence, and his friend raised an eyebrow, suspicious. Suddenly, Yu launched into a rant about crushing Yako, the classic of crushing in your crush to hide the fact that you're in deep heat. But even that wording made his friend raise both eyebrows now. That's when he dropped the truth bomb. Yu had zero chance, because Yako, she's mega popular, she's ranked first nationwide in archery, she's got killer grades. She's tall, cool, and beautiful, and wait for it, she's got a secret fan club. Bro, even the school janitor probably simps for her. Yu scoffed at all that, calling it a gross. He claimed that Yako was just a nasty girl with a pretty face, a tall figure, and yeah, she's good at archery. So what? This man is fighting for his life, trying not to admit he's down bad. His friend gave him that look and asked, so, you sure you don't even have a small crush on her? Yu just smirked dryly and said he's not into shallow stuff. He's only interested in one thing, beating Yoko at archery. This man treats love like a shonen rivalry. As the two kept bickering, they overheard some girls gossiping. Apparently, a confession was about to go down behind the school. The boys immediately scrambled like paparazzi, heading to a scandal. So, peeking from behind the wall, Yu's friend asked if this is what he meant by not being shallow. Yu told him to shut up. It's not about love, it's about watching the drama unfold. Ah, yes, the love-hating gremlin is now front row for someone else's heartbreak. The girl was Yumu, a Gyaru who was unusually kind to otaku, and the guy was Yoshida, your typical quiet otaku. Ian's friend was already convinced Yoshida would fail, and said they should go cheer him up after he gets rejected. But Yu wasn't paying attention anymore. His eyes were locked on something far above them. His friend followed his gaze and asked. Yu's eyes widened. He screamed, "Yako!" and bolted out from hiding like a man possessed, heaving his friend in the dust. Up on the rooftop, Yu startled Yoko, who was just trying to enjoy her bread in peace. He yelled, demanding to know what she was doing up there. Yoko gently replied, "You," but he interrupted, saying, "Don't be reckless. If you end it all now, without letting me beat you, I'll never forgive you. I bet you." Yako opened her mouth to explain that she wasn't doing what he thought she was doing. But then, slip. In what felt like slow motion, Yoko began to fall. Her fancy, expensive bread flung dramatically into the wind like a bird flying free. And she cleared the ledge, vanishing below. Yu screamed, throwing himself over the edge to save her. But what he saw made his heart skip a beat. She was falling, yes, but not like a normal girl. Yako had sprouted a pair of massive, glorious wings, white as snow, soft as clouds, and larger than both of them combined. Homie thought this was a school drama, and suddenly he's in a fantasy light novel. You were shocked to see that Yako had a giant pair of angel wings, leaving you almost speechless. Fortunately, Yoko caught Yu in a freefall and flew him to another spot for safety. You couldn't believe your ears when Yoko told you that she was a Cupid, but she showed you her license to be a Cupid and explained that it was a generational job. You asked if Yoko meant the nude Cupid, but Yoko just called you a pervert before saying that you're technically right. She's a couple maker via archery. You still didn't completely believe that Yako was a Cupid, but she had more proof. Yako pointed to some figures in the distance and told you to take a look. Noticing the people standing there, Yu was stunned to see it was Yoshida and Ayumu making out hardcore. You questioned what you were seeing, with Yoko explaining that this was the result of Cupid's arrow. The feelings toward the person in front of them will overflow and burst out. You found the power of Cupid's arrow scary, but then realized something. You asked if the massive number of couples was her doing, and Yoko happily announced that it was. Lo! With a smug expression, Yoko declared that she's the best at what she does, holding the #1 ranking in couple making, so she expects to be top Cupid sometime in the near future. As Yoko raised her bow and finished speaking, you noticed that Yoshida and Ayumu were looking your way and ducked behind a tree to hide from them. An arrow struck exactly where your head once was. It happened so fast that you weren't even sure exactly what had happened. As silence filled the air, you realized what had happened. Yako, in a cool, calm, and controlled tone, told you that Cupid's existence is top secret, and no one who isn't family should know. No. Yako then began to form an arrow from the air around her arm. She began to explain that if normal people found out she was a Cupid, she would use these arrows that she manifests to make them fall for her. As the arrow manifested and fell into Yoko's hand, she told you that if someone was charmed by her, they couldn't resist her. You, realizing that you may be in trouble here, began to try and talk to Yako. Drawing the arrow with a steady hand, she told you that her method has never had any leaks, guaranteed. Fleeing for his life, Us scattered as Yoko's arrows flew past him and landed all around him. You then made a valid point. If Yoko hadn't spilled everything, he wouldn't know her secret. Yako only told him not to move, as she's not used to hitting a moving target, causing you to yell back that he won't, since he doesn't want to be hit. Chasing after him, Yoko told him that the arrows don't hurt. Well, except the tip when it penetrates. The phrasing caused you to shout at Yako that she should never repeat what she had just said. Yako, seeming somehow innocent with lewd things, asked if she had said something wrong. You just told her to stop talking while dodging her arrows. Getting frustrated with Yu's agility, she was unsure how to hit him, before glancing at the arrow in her hand and forming a plan. Now a long distance from Yodyokitum from this far, so he must be safe now. However, before he could even finish his sentence, Yako launched herself at him with her wings, taking him by surprise and snatching him up. The next thing Yu knew, Yako had him in her arms and was high above the ground in a mere instant. Yako, completely unfazed, told Yu that she'd finally caught him. As he clung to Yako, he questioned what she was doing, but she told him not to worry. While manifesting an arrow in her hand, raising it to strike, Yoko told Yu to just stay away from her, and he'll be able to live his life normally, without any concern. As Yu looked at Yoko in disbelief, she stared at him coldly and told him that this was the best choice, and the most rational one, also. Once Yu heard that, he was instantly pissed off, rage flowing through him. He grabbed Yako wing, causing her to lose flight balance and sending them both into a freefall. As the pair fell, Yu yelled at Yako, saying that she's all about rational choices and efficiency, but seems to completely ignore his feelings. As they continued to plummet, Yoko, still blank-faced, admitted that she didn't know what he meant. Yu began to explain himself, telling Yako that a life without her is meaningless, and he's going to avoid that fate no matter what he must do. As he confessed his truth, Yako seemed to register his words. Her expression stayed the same, but something also seemed to have changed within her, as if a light was shone on a truth that she had kept hidden in the dark. As Yoko had this internal discovery, Yu couldn't maintain his grip and began to fall, without a pair of wings to save him. The fall ended with a thud on the school roof, where the whole revelation began. As Yu opened his eyes, he found himself lying on the roof with Yoko on top of him, wings still extended and feathers fluttering in the breeze. After getting Yako off him, Yu yelled out that he thought he was about to move on to the afterlife. Catching his breath, Yu told Yoko that she shouldn't do anything stupid from now on. Yako, now back on her feet, began to talk to Yu calmly. But Yu began to explain that life without a rival sucks, and he doesn't want that. So why can't she understand that? Yako, seeming to finally get what Yu was saying, agreed with his way of thinking. It all made sense, surprising Yu. But as he looked closer at Yako, he was horrified by what he saw. He saw that a Cupid arrow was lodged in Yoko's waist, piercing her and causing the flowers of love to bloom. As Yoko laid her eyes on Yu, the feelings blossomed as she twisted his original words into meaning. They were going to get married. Yu, stunned by the whole turn of events, that the most popular girl in school, his rival and senpai, confessed to wanting to marry him, just froze in place as his life was now forever changed in more ways than one.